Well, by now, if anyone is in doubt that Trump is no better than Biden, then you are the same as a Q-tard. Remember the Q-tards? QAnon? Oh, yeah. You think everyone's going to get arrested. I mean, we've seen what happened to Diddy's case, the Epstein files. Trump is resuming weapon supplies to Ukraine. No difference from the Biden government whatsoever. And might as well have voted in Biden again. And his corpse could sit there while the same things happen. There's not much else to say, really, except you'd be a retard to think otherwise. So regarding the war between Israel and Iran, I think it will recommence. You could say, well, they got their cheeks clapped back in June, and Israel, that is, when they thought they were so military advanced that they could end Ukraine in one military strike, a decapitation strike, and then got their asses clapped, their cheeks clapped. And will they learn from this? No, because you've got to understand the psychopathic mind. How dare a meaningless minion slap me, a god, in the face? Think of the movie 300, and you'll see what I mean. That character, the god king of Persia, the same level of delusion exists in their minds, and they want retribution. All right, they're not going to take it. So they're going to... This is good, because it'll be the end of Israel. I want to see the end of Israel, because right now Iran has only done what they can do without being the bad guys, if you would. They retaliated in self-defense. It was a ceasefire, okay, except... Now, as you know, the Western military-industrial complex is very slow to resupply, very expensive, very bogged down by middlemen and grifters and expenses and corruption and whatnot. So very slow moving it, but it's going to take until September to resupply, from what I've heard online by the pundits who know the details of these particulars. And so we're looking about September, and I would expect Israel to engage in another unprovoked attack on Iran. And I don't think Iran is particularly concerned about the nuclear response. Well, they are. I mean, I'd be getting out of Tehran, because the only target they can hit is Tehran. They can't really hit their military, because the military is underground in mountains and dotted all over the place. It's vast territory. And even if they did drop a nuke, it will kill a lot of civilians in a war crime, but it's not going to end the war. And then that would unleash thousands of rockets that will not be stopped by any nuclear deterrent, that will land all over Israel. That'll be the end of Israel. It'll be completely demolished. And that could happen. It could, because we're talking about the hubris of the psychopath here. Otherwise, if Israel don't attack, it won't happen. And things could escalate to World War III, or this nuke may even be shot down by Russian air defences, the only effective air defences in the world. Now, moving along, what else can I say? Oh, that's right, Mossad and the CIA are kicking up trouble in Azerbaijan, a puppet state of the Western hegemony. So I don't think it's going to cause much division in Iran. They're going with that move now. I think Russia has a massive interest in what's going on. That's their southern border, remember? They're in a war with Ukraine, for God's sake. And no different to the south of their border too. Just across the Caspian Sea is Iran. We've got some, that's where that coup took place in Georgia. When was that? 2000, something like that. Azerbaijan is in the same area. And very, very, very much existential threats could be presented there to Russia. So they have to get involved, and they will be, even if it's unofficial. So I'm thinking, I think there would be some. I doubt that. I don't know about ICBM. I don't know how Israel expects to deliver a nuke, maybe from a F-15 Strike Eagle. If that's the case, it will be shot down. If it's ICBM, well, which I don't think they have, then I think that's the only way they'll get a nuke into Iran, with Russian air defences. And even then, it's only 50-50. Yeah, so there you go. But whatever the case, Israel will disappear off the map using conventional weapons. You've got to remember the people of Israel, they got dual citizenship. They're a privileged class. They're not going to die for their country. They're going to just get on a plane, if they are allowed to, by the way, and piss off back to their homeland. And not get as good well, you know, Israel was a good place to go because they were getting all that free money from the taxpayer of the Western countries. Maybe get a career as a singer, do some career that we'd all like to have if we weren't working for a living. That's pretty much a playboy state, really. So they can all fuck off, and they will, because they're not going to go and live in bunkers and dystopian existence to live for some principle or die for some principle. So in the next strike war, when it recommences, Israel will be finished, and good riddance too, by the way. Off to Ukraine. Well, you know, Trump is sending weapons there. Why? Because he's a narcissist. He's a deluded narcissist. He's like, oh, we're not going to supply weapons to Ukraine in the hope that Putin will say, well, thanks for that. We'll stop the war. No. Russia has to take back their indigenous Russian territories to prevent genocide by neo-Nazis from Lviv is how you say it, in the west of Ukraine. Secondly, they have to create a buffer zone because, as you know, NATO didn't creep 1 inch east at all since the collapse of the Soviet Union. No, I think they went a few thousand kilometres or miles east, in fact, instead, which technically speaking isn't 1 inch east if you leverage semantics like a Victorian Australian in Victoria police officer. Police officers here are terrible. They would leverage that semantics. They'd go to court and say, no, we didn't move 1 inch one inch east, and then the defendant would say, well, hold on, you moved 1,000. Yeah, but it's not 1 inch east, is it? 2,000 miles east isn't 1 inch east, is it? So that's the semantics that cops here where I live deploy, and I'm not joking. That's no exaggeration. That's exactly how they are here. So you got to watch out for semantics. We of course saw semantics in the pandemic with dying with rather than from COVID. There's another example. These sorts of semantics I'm very familiar with because I've dealt with police here in Victoria, Australia, and they are terrible people. I'm pretty good at analysing psychopaths and their nature, and you can see where I'm getting my experience from here. Of course, I'm recording this from a stand. I'm not looking at the screen, as you can see. I'm driving with two hands, of course. So it's all very legal. I'm sitting here, as you can see, waiting for a gap in the traffic. The fact that my camera stand can do all this sort of stuff is neither here nor there. No, I don't think two hands on the wheel is a legal requirement. Talking on the phone here is an offence, but that's because you're distracted. As you can see, I'm not distracted from the road. I am well and truly looking at the road, not the camera. I don't have a phone near my head. It's all good. In fact, I think changing knobs on my air conditioner is more distracting, to be quite honest. Anyway, back to the point. Speaking of semantics, it's the law is speaking on the phone. I'm not speaking on the phone. I'm not making a phone call here. Unless they leverage that I'm using a smartphone as a camera, but that's debatable because you can't see what device I'm using to record this. Yes, legalese, semantics, good to bring that into the discussion, and you get my point there. The other thing is, if you're driving an automatic vehicle, manual rather, you can take your hand off the steering wheel to change the gear with the gear knob. This is an automatic. There's no need to do that. So I think by design, a manual vehicle requires you to drive with one hand at regular intervals. So Putin, I said in a number of videos a while back that they should extend the length of the front. I went overboard all the way along Belarus as well to create the buffer zone to prevent NATO moving so close to Moscow that they'll have an unfair advantage when it comes to nuclear missile bases. That's the whole point of it. Buffer zone beyond that of the indigenous Russian territories within Ukraine, such as Donbass and Donetsk. So how I think that buffer zone obviously is going to include a lot in Sumy, where the front line has extended to. So the front line is longer, and they are moving just as slow as I said they would. There's no need for a massive assault that would incur casualties. The war of attrition is a much better way to go, and of course they've won. That's why all of Trump's threats and whatnot fall on deaf ears in Russia, especially after he's the West has time and time again admitted and boasted about treaties and agreements and diplomacy being about delay tactics to have your opponent lower their guard so you can strike at them. Especially recently in Iran. Trump was in negotiations with Iran, and then as soon as Israel attacked, he was bragging about how he was distracting them with these negotiations to prevent suspicion of the unprovoked attack by Israel. But then when Iran handed their asses back to them on a silver platter, then he backpedaled on that and he says, oh gee, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Remember that? What a total fucking dick. Jesus Christ. So now he's talking about negotiation from a position of strength, which is basically terrorist threats. If you do this, do what we say or else. That's his art of the deal. And of course he's got nothing to threaten with because militarily they're fucked. And they got nothing. I mean, even if Israel does unleash an unprovoked attack again after they've resupplied, reloaded, so to speak, they've probably only got about 2 weeks of weapons. These rockets they could come for months from Iran. I'm happy because, as you know, I'm a tradesman here and I push it uphill dealing with all the inefficiencies of the red tape and grifters here cleaning up, no different from the military-industrial complex. It's just no wonder the West is failing. I mean, these roads are getting chock-a-block. Well, when you can't build as many roads per capita as you used to, that means you've got too many grifters. The immigrants coming here are all grifters. They're on welfare. They're just a burden. It's just going downhill. I want Russia to come here to Australia and introduce BRICS currency so I don't have to live this fucking shit life anymore. I'm trying to get out of this country, can't afford it. Literally. I've been trying to get out of this country for 17 years now. This is all very old news to me. Didn't come suddenly. The only thing that's been in my favour is the price of my house going up, so I can sell it to some desperate person who needs a house because we got, as again, per capita, not enough doers and too many grifters. So you end up with undersupply of house, oversupply of people needing houses because you've got too many useless feeders in the system. And that's where we are today. What else can I say? That's right, because of all this bullshit, Trump has reneged on his campaign promises to MAGA. Marjorie Taylor Greene, very vocal about it. She should be the next president of the United States. She should walk around with her own privately funded security team, not the Secret Service. Turns a blind eye when an MK Ultra patsy shows up. So she's the only genuine person there. Maybe Thomas Massey as well, but Trump has definitely shown his cards. He's just a Zionist puppet, big time. There's no hope with him anymore. And He's going to get smashed at the midterms. MAGA is really pissed off us. Now, this is the final nail in the coffin. Him sending weapons to Ukraine because Putin has bombed the shit out of Kiev and upped his ante, because they want this war over and done with. So, and this is not what MAGA wanted. MAGA wants to keep the money in America to rebuild the infrastructure and stop useless feeders from the coming into the country. And they're pissed off, and he is going to get smashed at the midterms. Unfortunately, there's not much to replace Trump's MAGA, well, Trumpsters with. Let's not call him. He's not MAGA. He's anti-MAGA. Trump is anti-MAGA. So, what are they going to replace him with? More fucking retards from the Democrats? Another Biden? I mean, there is no lesser of two evils. Trump was meant to be the lesser of two evils. Very, very disappointing. So I don't know what they're going to do at the midterms. I think Rando should just show up as independents, prove that they're not funded by AIPAC, and say, look at me, I'm a MAGA guy. I'm all for Marjorie Taylor Greene. Get her sponsorship, get her support. Just don't bother spending a campaign cent. Just say who you are, where you stand, what you stand for, put your name on the ballot, and hopefully get voted in. That's the only way to deal with this. Anyway, see you later.